Blasio, we see your schemes, destroying our neighborhood and stealing our dreams. Hey, yo, de Blasio, we see your schemes, destroying our neighborhoods and stealing our dreams.
My name is Roger Hernandez, and I'm really pleased to be here to address this great audience. Our two biggest and most powerful political leaders, Mayor de Blasio and the City Council Speaker, Melissa Mark Vivarito, sort of have a real good start in East Harlem, with Bill de Blasio being in charge of HUD back the last 20 years. And he focused a lot of attention on East Harlem. Melissa came from Puerto Rico to East Harlem to mount a political career, you know, sort of like suggesting that she was a housing advocate. Well, today, 2017, is real ironic that the two most powerful people who both campaign on letters of equity and breaking down the barriers between the tale of two cities, the whole issue of affordable housing, are now basically disrupting through their own actions and their own proposals that the most massive scheme of myths in order to do in the very residents of East Harlem. Mayor Bill de Blasio is committing $48 billion to rebuild the New York City's poorest and most vulnerable communities through an affordable housing plan, which ironically is neither affordable nor inclusionary, since you have to make more than $32,500 in order to participate. The average person, the average household of East Harlem and the South Bronx earns far less than $32,500. The mandatory element of what the mayor is suggesting is not mandatory at all, because they're proposing on building 30, 35-story buildings with free reign, and that comes from the political influence that the real estate lobby has on both Mayor Bill de Blasio and Council Speaker Melissa Mark Vivarito. You know, it's a real shame. The last time they did a rezoning in East Harlem back in 2003, we saw 17,000 apartments developed. Those 17,000 additional apartments went for people earning more than $45,000 a year. Again, the median income in East Harlem is less than $32,000. I would suggest it's closer to $22,000. That negates almost 54% of the people in East Harlem who are currently now overburdened by the inability to meet their rent obligations, since the way that they determine that is based on any portion of your rent that's more than 30% of what you make. So if you have $1,000 monthly rent, if you're not making $1,000 a week, you're overburdened. Anyway, my biggest concern at the moment is the fact that besides the equity on the development of these so-called affordable housing units, unaffordable to the residents of East Harlem, there's also this issue of building 30-story buildings. Back in the day, in 2003, when they did the last rezoning, they allowed the building heights to go from 4, 5, 6 stories to 12 stories. That's a big difference. That's doubling the size of the buildings. Now, in 2017, they want to allow the buildings to go up 30, 35 stories. Again, that's almost 3 times more than the 12-story max that doubled in size from 2003, when they used to be limited to 5, 6 stories. That's a big difference. That's a tremendous difference in the scale and the density of what our neighborhoods are going to look like in the future. If you think that walking down a dark street in the middle of the day is scary, well, the 35-story building is not going to allow any sunlight to come in, and it's going to affect you in more ways than you can imagine. It affects your health, your disposition, and also, too, just the way you feel about yourself in your neighborhood. So picture this. If now they're building 35-story buildings that you and your friends can't afford, and the displacement now is taking away your friends and your neighbors, well, that means that the last 50 years that you spent in the neighborhood building the community up, making it beautiful and stabilizing it and preserving it, well, now you're being asked to leave because you just can't cut it, because you're being discounted by political leaders who have other interests, and that interest is the real estate lobby. $48 billion is a lot of money. In fact, it's too much money. The real estate industry doesn't need it. They could build 12-story buildings using conventional bank financing and make money. That's what they've been doing since 2003. Drawing money out of problems is not going to solve it.
He says he wants to protect immigrants and minorities and create a sanctuary city, but now he's just taking away our homes. He's lying to us. Raise awareness. Let's raise awareness about this. So here are some facts. These are legit facts. More than half of his campaign contributions are from the real estate industry. So it's pretty obvious. Yeah, exactly. So it's pretty obvious that he only cares about profit. And de Blasio and these rest of these greedy, corrupted people, they're using loopholes and other immoral ways to destroy our neighborhoods and our dreams. With that said, let's chant. If you guys remember the chant, please help out. So it goes like this. Hey, yo, de Blasio, we see your schemes, destroying our neighborhoods and stealing our dreams. Hey, yo, de Blasio, we see your schemes, destroying our neighborhoods and stealing our dreams. I said, hey, yo, de Blasio, we see your schemes, destroying our neighborhoods and stealing our dreams. Come on, everyone. Hey, yo, de Blasio, we see your schemes, destroying our neighborhoods and stealing our dreams. Come on. Hey, yo, de Blasio, we see your schemes, destroying our neighborhoods and stealing our dreams.
That's Tony Quaylen, and I'm a resident of 82 Record Slip in the shadow of Extell Tower, and I'm a member of NMAS. We're here again today to ask Mayor de Blasio to step down, step out of office, because he's not doing his job properly. Okay? He's a lackey for the real estate developers and all other businesses, anybody who'll give him funds for re-election. It's an election year, and he'll do whatever he can to stay in office. We don't want him in office. He sold our neighborhoods off. If you live in any of the neighborhoods that we live in, on the Lower East Side, in the South Bronx, East Harlem, you see what's happening. They're selling our neighborhoods off block by block. Literally block by block. And it's enough. We, as a group, have to come together and get this man out. Yeah. We have to get Mayor de Blasio, Margaret Chin, Veverito, all of them. They have to be out. There's no reason that we, the people that have settled this neighborhood, okay, these neighborhoods were like the wild, wild west when we were growing up. And we were the ones who tamed these neighborhoods. Now they want to sell our neighborhood?
Hell no!
Hell no!
Hell no! De Blasio has to go.
Step down, de Blasio!
Step down, de Blasio! Step down, de Blasio! You gotta go!
De Blasio, this is not a tale of two cities. This is one city, New York City. New York City that we love. You are giving it away to developers barely paying taxes. Shame on you.
Shame on you. Shame on you.
Shame on you. You are pricing out our small businesses. Shame on you.
Shame on you. Shame on you.
You are pricing out single moms, police officers, firemen. You are pricing out everybody in New York City. Shame on you.
Shame on you.
Shame on you!
We want height restrictions in these new buildings. This is not Dubai.
Yay.
This is New York City, an economic diversity. Get it together, because if you love New York, then you love all the residents in New York, not just the rich. You need to love everybody, Mr. de Blasio.
Yeah.
So one more time, shame
Shame on you!
And Trump, you're a moron. I'm sorry to tell you, Trump, you're a New Yorker, but you're a moron. Shame on you!
Shame on you!
Okay.
Familia, peoples of the 5 boroughs, are you here? Yeah. Are you here?
Yeah. We can't hear you.
Do you love de Blasio?
No!
Do you think you should go?
Yes!
Do you love Melissa Mark Viverito?
No!
Do you think she should go?
Yes!
The Real Estate Board of New York, do you think that they're buying our politicians?
Yes.
What should we do with these guys?
Kick them out.
Absolutely. Familia, family, we have 5 boroughs represented here. The mayor has put 15 of our communities for sale. The city of New York, its elected officials are for sale. Let's make one thing perfectly clear. The voting people, the tax-paying people of the city have a voice. That's why we are here today as one. We are multinational communities coming together to tell de Blasio, we might not have the money to compete with those billionaire forces, but we have votes. This is an election year. I believe you will be surprised, even if it's Mickey Mouse that has to run against you, this status quo has to go out the window and these plans have to be redrawn. If these communities' voices are not heard and taken serious, you're going to have to be looking for a new job. If not you, or most of your co-partners in this plan, this mandatory inclusionary housing, or MIH, is mandatory inclusionary hell for these 15 communities. And we are resisting, we will resist. One way or the other, the borough presidents will hear our voices. The elected officials who are working in cahoots with you, who are not receiving money, because not every council member on that body is for sale. Let's make that thing perfectly clear. In a democracy, you can't buy them all. So de Blasio, we are putting you on notice. Our communities are not for sale. I'm sure there is a paper trail that will lead to you, and we hope that you do the right thing by these communities. That listen, I don't want to wish the worst, but if you have to go to jail, then so be it. Because bribery is bribery, and what you're doing is illegal. It might be called lobbying, but what you're doing is against the law. And we're not going to forget today, tomorrow, or election day who the perpetrators against our 15 communities are.
他说，这个今年呢是这个选举年，所以这个白思豪他会做任何的事情来让他继续当这个市长。但是他现在啊已经收了大量来自这个地产商的钱了，他现在在出卖我们所有的社区，一条街一条街这样来出卖。他出卖公共的土地给地产商，还说啊，他让这个地产商在这个公共的停车场上面建房子，可以帮助修复这个政府楼。这是不是赤果果的这个谎言？白思豪，我们会让他继续当这个市长吗？不能。白思豪，他勾结地产商，他要马上下台，对不对？白思豪要下台，白思豪要下台，白思豪要下台。
Blessings, I hope these words are acceptable before my ancestors, before my parents, and before my God who gives me life to stand before you today. I just want to say Mayor de Blasio came in on a campaign promise to resolve Tale of Two Cities.
Yeah.
Right? That's what he said. I'm coming in. We're going to take care and get rid of this insult to our city by resolving the Tale of Two Cities. That's how he came in. That's how we voted for him. Well, you know, he's got this housing plan, this rezoning for so-called affordable housing, where, you know, some of the major features are that he's increasing the construction of homeless shelters. He's increasing the deployment of lawyers for housing eviction proceedings. It sounds like he has a plan not for affordable housing, but for displacement of us and for replacement of our community with individuals that are wealthy and well off. That's not resolving Tale of Two Cities. That's promoting a Tale of Two Cities. How many of you consider yourselves hard-working, self-respecting folks who work hard every day for your families and for your community. How many? How many of you are working hard for your community and for your families? Can buy a show of hands, right? Well, yeah, we in the Community Garden Coalition, we consider ourselves very hard working. We have taken abandoned lots, public land that was abandoned by landlords and laid fallow by the city, and we have reclaimed those lots on behalf of our community. I just want to give you three success stories. One, we have, I'm just going to give you two grandmothers that have come to me out of a community garden in the South Bronx and said, you know, Ray, I'm so grateful that we have this planting space so that I can grow food for my family, so that at that time in the month when the rent comes due and things are a little tight in the household, I can still feed my family. This is what community gardeners are doing, coming together on public land. We're doing something for ourselves, right? Give you another example out of the community garden where we're at, called Friends of Brook Park. We literally are working with something called Alternatives to Incarceration program, right? Where we work with youth that just coming out of Rikers, work with youth that are running through the courts. Since we started that program approximately 6 years ago, we have literally saved the state and the city of New York millions of dollars in incarceration costs. This is what we're doing for our community, keeping young people from being involved in ways of life where they see no option for themselves, right? And in the process, we're getting them, we have a workforce development program. We're actually doing job training at our community garden on public land. Yeah. So people are feeding themselves, people are learning how to work, people are earning, and guess what? That income is circulating in the community. We are doing good for our communities and for our city. I just want to end off on a story, okay? You talk about the millions of dollars, right? We just got a contract from the state of New York, storm recovery. It's actually a couple of $1 million, right? To do storm recovery work where we're employing local community gardeners in the Lower East Side. It's called Gardens Rising. And so we're being now little bit by little bit recognized that our environmental work, our food justice work, our alternatives to incarceration work is really having an impact. And just to close, let me just say, just recently, I would say about a couple of years ago, for me that's kind of recent, we literally, since we started our alternatives to incarceration program at Brook Park, we literally have kept 2 youth from being killed, gangbangers, either from killing or from being killed, 2 young people. I don't know what the price tag is on saving the life of a young person. It's priceless, right? This is what we're doing on public land. And what we're saying to Mr. Mayor, with all due respect, Mayor de Blasio, and what we're saying to the Speaker, Madam Speaker, with all due respect, Ms. Viverito, when it comes to our community, we're not asking for any special favors. We're not asking for any handouts. We're just asking for you to let us do what we do best, which is to do for self in the way that we feel is best for our community's interests. Yeah. And when it comes to public land, you have to respect that. You can't just give away public land to a developer, especially like what's happening now in El Barrio and little bit by little bit in the South Bronx, in terms of pulling these community gardens that are doing so much for the city, circulating income, saving millions of dollars to the government, and now you want to pull it away just to benefit some few private developers who contributed to your campaign coffers. We're saying you need to go someplace with that. So we want to say, if you're a public servant, as you were elected to be, you must serve the interests of the public. You must promote the public good, especially when it comes to public land. Maximizing the public good doesn't mean winners and losers. It means that everybody benefits from the decisions that you make. So I'm just going to leave you with a chant from back in the day. It's called Free the Land. So let's go. Free the land. 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 Power to the people.
Power to the people.